Hey, Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap, Trap Squad, Squirrel Squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, trap squad.
Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. I am your host, Marcus Farrell, and I am joined with my brother Tunde, my brother from another mother, Tunde. We will be rocking and rolling with Mondale. He is on the road here. And let me just do a little housekeeping real quick. Housekeeping. First off, welcome to the 3 o'clock episode of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. We've been bouncing around quite a bit, but I started going a little crazy, waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was going to end up hurting somebody if I had to just, wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning every morning and do it. I mean, some people are morning folks, so you can blame the change on me. And also, I love people. I love you guys more. And I know that folks on the West Coast have been having a hard time catching our show live. So we are rocking and rolling. And Tunde, you get to see Tunde's pretty face now. Hey, Tunde, look at big sexy over there.
Pretty. Come on. I don't. Handsome? Can we go ahead? I don't know about pretty.
Handsome face, the handsome man.
That's that nice toxic masculinity that I got here. But nah, man, it's good to be rocking with you. Definitely glad. Hopefully we can find a home here at 3 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's right.
Seems like a nice time, man. It seems like a nice time. It's midday, so people are just going about their days, doing their things, instead of listening to what plays at on the radio stations at mid afternoon. Don't they play the oldies and things like that? People still listen to the radio.
Yeah, if you do listen to the radio, most cars are Sirius XM, or people are bumping their phones nowadays. But radio still has its place. And 12 o'clock is a kind of an important time. I guess they call it the noon drive, right?
The noon drive.
But I believe that the 8 o'clock and the 5 o'clock times, are the important times. So, but before we get started, let's go ahead and do some more housekeeping. If you're on and you're watching right now, make sure you like and share this post with all your friends and family. Make sure if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. If you're on Facebook, make sure you hit that like button, that share button. Let's trick the algorithm. Let's fool the algorithm. If you're on any other platform, thank you for watching us. And we're going to just jump right into it. And we're happy to be back again with you.
Sure.
All the way live. I am watching the political climate. Of course, this is Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. So I'm watching the political climate across the nation, and there are gubernatorial races heating up all over the place. And if we look at the special elections specifically in California, you're seeing a lot of different types of characters that are coming out of that race. And the one person that has been making a lot of noise, whether good or bad, is Larry Elder. And Larry Elder said some interesting stuff recently. Dwayne, you got that clip?
The opportunities that you have here in America, you'd have never had otherwise. And this was actually one of the first countries that banned the slave trade. Right? I mean, Britain was ahead of us. The UK was ahead of us. But America was just right behind them.
By the way, when you mentioned that the UK was ahead of us, they were. Do you know that the slave owners were compensated? After they lost their quote-unquote property, the government compensated slave owners.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so when people talk about reparations, do they really want to have that conversation? Because, like it or not, slavery was legal. And so their property, their legal property, was taken away from them after the Civil War. So you can make an argument that the people that are owed reparations, and not only just black people, but also the people whose, quote, property, close quote, was taken away after the end of the Civil War.
So what do you make of...
and by the way, that's why there was no war in the UK.
Right.
The slave owners got substantial amounts of money.
That's fascinating.
And you look at the amount of money adjusted for today's dollars, it was a great deal of money that the former slave owners got, which is one of the reasons they didn't fight a war.
I can't wait to look into this. I never knew that. The slave owners were given...
That's why the great Eldersky's here.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. I'm so interested in that.
I know you got a lot to say about this, but I think the funniest thing ever is Candace Owens like, oh my God, this is so interesting. I need to look into this. I don't know why I find that so hilarious. It's just like
because it's because she hates herself. Because anything that has to do with promoting white people off of black people's pain, she's going to be the most interested person in it. Like, if you just mention reparations and the slave owner beat their enslaved people, then she's going to be like, oh, we've heard that story before. But when she talk about giving the slave owners reparations, which, by the way, American slave owners did receive reparations. You dumb fucks. Okay? Yeah. So let's not cap and act like that didn't happen in America. Right. Number two, the sheer excitement for this little interesting tidbit of information that you guys think y'all are pulling out from the dwells of the Encyclopedia Britannica to drop hardcore knowledge on America like y'all are some of the smartest motherfuckers on the planet when you're not, is almost laughable. It's more than laughable. They're dropping this. Well, did you know that the British slave owners got reparations? And it was legal, and we think that, yes. You also forget the major argument that biased laws have happened in America since the inception of this country. And just because it was a law doesn't necessarily mean that it was right. Do slave owners owe, or are they owed reparations? Well, let's just say that they've gotten their reparations. They were still white. They were still landowners. The former slave owners still created things called police departments, and they still named their counties and their parishes and wherever the fuck they were after their grandmothers and themselves. They still got away with enslavement, and no one went to jail. No one got caught up in a lifestyle that was going to be detrimental to a white American of the late 1870s. Their life was all right. Former slave owners did stuff like start Chase Manhattan Bank. Former slave owners did stuff like start whole cities and create colleges that they can. Go ahead. So
the thing that I see whenever I hear people talk like this is the things that you're talking about. That's not even. They can't see that reality. Like they literally, like, they don't live in that reality where they see those things. They just take those things as just a fact of life, right? That, oh yeah, just white people are just rich and dope. That's their world that they live in. You know, they can't see the world where a majority of white society stands to benefit not just from a literal, a leg up, but literally just from society overall, right? That society is basically catered towards them, and all of those times, from the end of slavery to the civil rights era, even their past, there was so much afforded to white people in general in terms of just being able to do things like, do things in Silicon Valley or start up a business or do this or do that. And what's the lost opportunity there for people who couldn't do that, for black people who couldn't do that during that same time, that they couldn't amass the same wealth. They couldn't begin the same legacies as, I forget, it was on one of our episodes that we were talking about, I think the history of like, the banks. I'm pretty sure, I forget where exactly we had the conversation, but we were talking about like the history of banks, where we were seeing like when did all the banks first start, and to see that legacy carried up until now. That's why we're looking at a Chase Bank as Chase Bank, right? Because of these legacies. And so, but there's there's a whole different other aspect I wanted to jump into, but I want to let you finish
hold on. Yeah. Just real quick. I mean. So Okay, so before we go too far, there's a lot of people who are just checking us out, right, and just figuring out. I don't give a fuck about Gavin Newsom's black agenda, honestly, because he's already been the governor and he showed us exactly what his black agenda is, which is absolutely nothing, right? Now, what bothers me is when so don't get on here, don't come to Clickbaity thinking we won't respond to your pussy ass shit, your dumb ass shit that you trying to fucking post on here, because we will. Fuck you. Right.
And in the midst of that, thank you, Dante Manalo, for your super chat. Ken M, because we respond to the good and the dumb shit.
Yeah. Dante, thank you. Ken M, thank you. But I wanted to get back to one very, very important conversation about this, and this is super important. This guy's running for governor of California. We can't have a legitimate conversation about reparations without the loudest people who are running for the biggest office are bringing up reparations in the sense of white people need to get it first. If that's not some coon ass, sellout, ashy ass, need lip gloss ass, need hair lotion ass statement that you could possibly make, then what else? What do you think you're doing? Like, you're bringing up reparations to suffice white Republicans, and that's the conversation you want to change it to. And here's the thing: Larry Elder is a mainstream Republican. We can't even get mainstream Democrats to admit that reparations is necessary, not on a major scale. If y'all know something, show me something. You are still watching Clickbaity Political ThirstTrap. Go ahead. I know you had something on this Tunde.
Well, so the angle that I want to take is kind of a completely, or it ties in a little bit to what you're saying, but it's a completely different conversation. To me, like, after hearing those comments, like, there's like the initial, like, if the phrase "this nigga" was a person, it would definitely be Larry Elder, because he just everything he says makes you respond with "this nigga." So after that initial reaction to him, right, the immediate feeling that came up for me was it was depressing, right? But not just because of like what he was saying, but because the discourse, right, that it's like this realization just like washed over me that like we are never really going to have progress. And it's not because progress isn't possible. It's because the conversation isn't about actually bettering our society. That's not what the conversation's about. It's about simply just besting the other side, you know? And, you know, obviously people like Larry Elder, Candace Owens, they make a living off of just being in opposition to the other side. And I'm not saying that there are people on the left that do that as well. Clearly there are, right? But it's depressing because what he's saying, it doesn't even make logical sense for the point that he's trying to make. The point that he's trying to get at is, whoa, let's slow down on this reparations talk unless you want to also give reparations to the slave owners. But that doesn't even make sense, right?
No. Let's say there's a better way to put that, Tunde.
Okay. That
is no. We can't be talking about reparations unless boss man gets reparations first. I just want to be a good nigga today, and I was gonna make sure that reparations happen. Only a boss man get it.
Yeah, I feel like in the first,
you call me Steven. I'm gonna make sure that you little porch monkeys can't have nothing. Boss man can get reparations.
Now I will tell him what y'all talking about right here, just to let y'all know. I will tell him, and you know, it makes me feel like the first cut of this, he probably said something similar to that, but they're like, let's retake that. That was too hot. That was too on the nose. Let's go ahead and recut this and see what we can do with the second take. But so it's wrong because like the logical steps that he's trying to make is that, okay, the UK, they paid reparations to their slave owners so that they wouldn't fight a war, right? And so, but the problem is we did fight a war for this instead of, or, you know, and according to you as well.
Yeah, and they lost.
Not only and they lost, right? But on top of that, according to you, that we actually did pay reparations to slave owners in one way or the other, right? In terms of through some means or another, right?
Yeah, listen, I mean, if you think to yourself that the most white slave owning families just went to the breadline immediately after they took the slaves away, you're drastically confused. These folks Do you know how much money it takes to enslave one human being? Do you know how many resources that you need to enslave one human being? When you had enslaved people, and some of these farms, some of these plantations, like the plantations that my ancestors were from. My ancestors are from a plantation that had over 220 enslaved people at some points. That's not. I just dropped the rap album and I went platinum rich. That is, I'm on my way to being Jeff Bezos. Wealth right there. Don't get this confused. Having a slave is definitely a multi-million-dollar endeavor. By today's practices, you got to think about food, you got to think about shelter, you got to think about resources to keep someone enslaved, you got to think about the transportation of whatever product, the seeds for whatever product, the overseers, the house people. You know, it's not. I mean, if you look at any plantation, you'll see a row of shotgun houses somewhere on that property that was built. You have to maintain that stuff, and that stuff costs a lot of money. And keeping a human being in bondage costs a lot of money. So when they took away slavery, that's like they just gave some. It's like police departments. They just gave some of these folks an early retirement. They didn't get punished. They just got an early retirement. That's it. That's it. So to try to novelize and to try to romanticize, and that's what Larry Elder is doing. Larry Elder is romanticizing enslavement, right? He's romanticizing it because this in the same way, in the same token that these guys go back and they talk about critical race theory and they try to say that it doesn't belong in schools. Larry Elder, as a black man, romanticizing the enslavement, the slave masters getting reparations because it was the law, is the next step. You have to legitimize it by putting a black face saying that white people are owed something for slavery.
Absolutely.
That's like saying the billionaires right now that they deserve to get a higher payment because they pay their people a fair wage.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that there's someone on the right who would firmly agree with this statement, but again, like, so Larry Elder, he's trying to make the case, like, and this goes back to sort of what the sentiment is behind reparations, right? It's supposed to be a way to, at least in some way, right a wrong, right? So if you're thinking about it that way, well, what's Larry Elder saying? He's saying, oh, well, if you have to right the wrong of the people who were enslaved, then you also have to right the wrong of the people who were enslaving those who. That's right. Hey, check this out. Check this out real quick, Tunde. I'm sorry to cut you off. I gotta just get in this. See, I feel a little like Mondale today. Let me get in these chats real quick. Keith Van Henningen, whatever your last name is. Slave owners are Democrats. Okay. I'm tired of this dumbass conversation. You dumb, ignorant so-and-sos. First off, Clickbaity Political ThirstTrap is not a Democratic show. We don't care about Democrats or Republicans. We care about free black people. That's what we care about. So, listen, I like a lot more Democrats than I do Republicans, but this is not a show that is going to elevate just Democrats because of their namesake. We will give it to the Democrat Party just like we will give it to the Republican Party. Secondly, you know what happened in the 60s when Democrats started allotting themselves with minorities. The Republican Party went the opposite direction, and so did all the races within the Democratic Party. Stop capping. Stop making this same doggone inconceived argument that the Democrats. Let's just look at the ideologies. How about that right there? Do you think the ideology of the current Republican Party would like to free slaves? You think the ideology of the current Republican Party would like to make sure that black people get reparations and slave owners don't?
Man, get off our thread. Don't ever watch our show again with that dumbass shit.
Well, and I, that specific conversation when they have it it's hilarious because of what you just said, right? Like what is the opposite? Like what are you saying? Like the people who are currently Republicans, the Republican Party
this guy's just trying to contrive that the Democrats, because he wants to make this a Democratic Republican argument. His dumbass doesn't understand that we don't care. Right. And also we know facts. Right. Yeah. There were racist politicians who switched to the Republican Party as soon as the Democratic Party started doing things for people of color. That's a fact. Right. Yep. So don't act like that didn't happen. It's not like a Republican president signed any kind of Voters' Right Act. Right. Or a Republican like the last time a Republican did anything decent, they wouldn't do it again right now. That's almost linking freeing the slaves. But we know linking freeing the slaves was more of an economic benefit than anything else. I don't have to go into it with this cat right here, man. I just had to address that because I'm tired of that same dumb argument and then getting on our show like we.
Well, it's just like everything else that they probably heard it on some sort of podcast or some sort of like YouTube clip, and they're like, "Oh, I've got a great talking point," and then they just fucking run with it. It's what people fucking do. But yeah, man, to put a button on this whole Larry Elder thing, man, it's the reason why I find this all depressing is because he's stupid for what he's saying, but also because it's like, fam, like. We're not having an honest conversation about things these days. We're having this stupid, like, I just want to one up the other side, and you end up looking like an idiot, just like Larry Elder does here when he says this comment. If he was actually listening to the things that he was saying, he would come to the conclusion, well, that doesn't make any sense, because what right is trying to be, or what wrong is trying to be made right by giving slave owners reparations? Like, what's your, like, and I'm not talking about like what's the actual point that he's trying to fucking make? Like, there's no point. Like, it's devoid of thought. It's just, oh, this is in opposition to what they're saying about reparations for those who are enslaved. So let me just counter that with something that I think is a good talking point. But you're not thinking about the thing you're saying. You're just fucking saying it just to say. But yeah, Larry Elder, the epitome of the phrase "this nigga." That's right. I think we'll just leave it at that.
So I want to go into a little bit. First, I want to do this real quick. R.I.P. to Michael K. Williams. Michael K. Williams played
American actor Michael K. Williams.
No. Yeah, some audio with that, Dwayne. If you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so Michael K. Williams played just Omar in The Wire. He was in Luke Cage. I think my favorite role with him was his role in Luke Cage. Believe it or not, this brother has played in just so many different movies, and he was found dead in his home Monday. He was 54 years old. He was found around 2 p.m. According to New York City Police Department, the death is being investigated as a possible drug overdose, and the city's medical examiner will determine the cause. And as we've been seeing, as you can see, Wendell Pierce, the brother Wendell from The Wire, there's so many brothers and sisters have, and people have just been giving him his flowers. And it's sad because, he's definitely one of my favorite actors. Omar's Coming is a street lexicon right now. That's almost like Debo Coming. Matter of fact, it might be worse. It might be worse than you don't want to see Omar when he comes. Yeah, because somebody
you just get beat up. But
yeah, Debo beat you up and take your chain. Omar come and beat you up, kill you, take your dope, flush it down somewhere, and keep it moving.
Destroy your whole business.
Just disrupt your whole business. And I know Mondale wanted to get into this, but we've recently seen a uptick in the amount of deaths from drug overdoses, and we don't know if Michael K. Williams passed away from a drug overdose. That hasn't came out yet. So I excuse me if we're jumping, and if I am in associating the two, but I do want to take this time to just address deaths due to drug overdoses in America. and deaths from drug overdoses soared to more than 93,000 last year in 2020. And the death toll jumped by more than 2,100 or nearly 30% from 2019. But what? So
actually,
what? Does this,
that's 21,000.
That's 21,000, right? So, but what does this mean, though?
Yeah.
This means that the the pandemic had and people's mental health and people's coping mechanisms have all been affected through COVID-19, right? Being in the house, lack of exercise, lack of association. Some people, some of us aren't lucky enough to have people that love us. And we can love them back and say, I love you. And there's a hug or help. Some of us are out here alone, and during COVID, especially when people were socially distancing, the amount of drug usage went up, it's interesting. I work in the cannabis industry, and the one thing that wasn't hit by COVID sort of economic downfall was nobody stopped buying weed at these dispensaries. Actually, they started running out of them. And especially with drugs like fentanyl, these overdoses are becoming kind of crazy, and folks are mixing cocaine and fentanyl and selling it out as cocaine, and it's killing people. And it's killing people. Yeah. So I want y'all to be careful, man. Like, I want people to be careful. I want people to, I'm not going to be a person that ever judges whether you do drugs or not, right? But what I will say is make sure that you are very safe with whatever you decide to do, if you decide to do it, and try to avoid it if at all possible. And always go seek counseling, folks. Go see a therapist, right? If you have so many, but don't try to drown in alcohol and drugs. Now, don't get me wrong, having a party, that's probably the American way. You want to get lit, go get lit, but make sure you do it in a responsible fashion. Yeah.
Everything in moderation as life goes, man. But so Michael K. Williams, man, I think his legacy to me, man, at least the thing that I found most unique about his legacy is the fact that he can play a character like Omar and have Omar be a gay character, and to have that carry through a lot of his or some of his other roles as well, like in Lovecraft Country, right? I think and specifically like on The Wire too, playing Omar, I don't know if we've ever seen a character like that, especially in a show that's as visceral as The Wire, and to have it connect so well with everybody, that it transcends so many different lines, and I think that, to me, that's when I think about his career, that's the thing that jumps off the page to me, is the fact that he played that character, and to have it be this very sort of like masculine character, but to have him also be gay was something that, especially during the time when The Wire came out, wasn't something that was common at all.
He did the same thing on Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country, absolutely.
Yeah, he had the same very masculine, almost abusive. He played an abusive character who you wouldn't think in a million years would be a part of the LGBTQIA community, but he was, right? And that just shows you the level of depth and talent that Michael K. Williams could possess. In one scene, he could be fulfilling the role of a hyper aggressive, toxic masculinity in one scene, and in the next scene, he is one of the most loving people in a gay relationship, in an openly gay relationship. And that's why it's just so sad to see such a talent like this. I wanted to see, even though I know he already had a Marvel role, I wanted to see him in more Marvel. I thought he was going to be a part of the Marvel universe going forward here, right? He just has one of the most, a very dominating presence on the camera. Yeah, just a super dominating presence on the camera, right? And even when I found myself cheering for all of his characters, even when he was playing the worst human beings possible. So,
I remember on The Wire where he was having a conversation with Bunk, and it was like one of the most touching scenes. And it was like this scene where they had to handle it with such nuance. And it was just, I just remember that scene like tearing up, but it was just this like kind of like it didn't even last that long. It was like maybe like a 2 or 3 minute conversation they had. It was like, I think in season 3, I think it was season 4 actually, where they had this conversation, and I started tearing up because you see the humanity that wasn't Omar, even though he did all these like horrible things, but you can see the human behind it. And I gotta give it up for Michael K. Williams, man. Great actor, obviously gone well before his time, and he will be missed, man. He will be missed.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Michael K. Williams. I'm gonna go watch and the Marvel series that he was in Luke Cage. Yeah. He was in Luke Cage. He played the Kingpin. He played a Kingpin. I forgot which character, but he's already been in the Marvel canon. Well, while we got a moment before we move on to the next topic, make sure you like and share Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. You can follow me, Marcus for America, at Marcus Farrell, at Marcus for America on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Tunde on whatever, where they find you at, Tunde?
You will find me on there, but you will find precisely zero activity. But right. You can. I'm trying to be better with social media. Maybe when I come back, I don't do social media to the point that I don't even know what my handles are for right. Most of my social media. But do me a favor, go follow Burn It Down. Burn It Down with Krem Brown. BIWKB. That's a show that I work on as well. Go find that on all the social medias. It's usually BIWKB on all social media platforms.
Yeah, is she on? She's on today at 5 o'clock, right?
We are on. Oh, actually, no, we are not on today at 5 o'clock. We're taking a little bit of a siesta today, but we will be back on Friday with a live show. So we will be back. Yep.
So also go follow Mondale Robinson's on all social media platforms. BlackMaleVoterProject.org. And also go to restorativeroots.net and get you a t-shirt today, people. They all only cost $20. Yeah, go get you a t-shirt today.
Yeah, I gotta go get me a shirt.
Go to Restorative Roots. Go to restorativeroots.life, restorativeroots.net. Order you a t-shirt. It will get there. Trust me, some of you have, and they've been very satisfied. If you got a t-shirt if you got a t-shirt, you already ordered a t-shirt. Y'all let me know. Give me a couple of squirrels if you already got a t-shirt. Tell me if you like it or not. If you didn't like it or not. If you didn't like it, then please let me know. And we got to go to Restorative Roots, and you got to go to restorativeroots.net. Get you a t-shirt and follow some of the things about the Black cannabis culture, the Black legal cannabis culture of America. And we're gonna get right back into it. But make sure you follow Clickbaity Political Thirst Traps on all social media platforms. The U.S. reaches 40 million recorded COVID-19 cases. According to CNN, the U.S. has now tallied more than 40 million COVID-19 cases across this pandemic, with more than 4 million of them reported in the last 4 weeks alone. The count comes with a caveat. 40 million represents just officially reported positive test results, and many experts believe the actual number of infections is much, much larger. COVID-19 cases have nevertheless generally been on the rise in much of the country since early summer, and the country's 7-day average of new cases Monday is 137,270 each day, was more than 4 times higher than Labor Day of last year. 39,000 cases daily, according to Johns Hopkins data. Wear a mask. You know what I mean? Like, and I saw these science articles, and Dwayne, I should have sent it to you in Tunde. There was an article where I was reading that the U.S. fundamentally does not understand how the United States fundamentally does not understand how to fight COVID-19 and fight a pandemic. Our country, politically, scientifically, and also just logistically, is so caught up in capitalism that we can't fight a we fundamentally cannot fight a pandemic when it happens. So when we look at the pandemic that hit the early 1900s, some of the same reasoning behind why that pandemic took so long was the same kind of vitriol, except there was less of association. There was less associating freedom. It was less associating freedom with wearing a mask. And it was more like, hey, put a mask on so you won't die. And everybody kind of understood it. And it's amazing that over 100 years later, we've fallen back. We've fallen back in our intelligence of how sicknesses pass from one another. So we fundamentally cannot fight when we have governors like Abbott and DeSantis turning our states into COVID death traps.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that these schools, like in the state of Florida, DeSantis is warning school systems that he will not cut paychecks.
Yeah.
If they institute mask mandates.
Which I don't think you can legally
I don't understand how much you can not give a fuck about our kids.
Oh, it's easy because, they all learned very well from Trump is everything's about owning the libs, right? Owning the left, right? That's the style of government that we're seeing right now from all of these so-called elected officials. All they're doing is just standing in opposition to something else, right? If tomorrow the base of the Republican Party was like, no, you know what, we like these vaccines, in a heartbeat, these politicians would change their tune about. They'd be like, maybe we should give these vaccines a try. Like let's figure this out. They literally only do what they think is going to get them elected. That's it. And that's one of the worst ways to govern because it puts you in this situation, right? Which is, well, now you have to do things that are just insane, right? To say that, we don't care about the vaccine. We don't care about wearing masks, even, forget the kids wearing masks in school because I want to see my kid's smiling face. It's like, well, your child has the chance to either get sick themselves or pass an illness on to somebody, an adult. And you're like, I don't care. I just want to see their smiling faces. It's worth it. To me, that's beyond insane. But I think what's crazier to me, man, is that, as we sit here and talk about all these things, man, I just wonder, like, if you roll back the clock and say we were still dealing with something like polio, right? Like would we just not be able to get rid of polio because people are just like, you know what? I just don't believe in it. I just don't believe in this vaccine, and I'm not even saying that you shouldn't have skepticism of things like the vaccine, right? But in the same breath, it's kind of like, I'm not a scientist, but if a majority of the scientific community is saying that they agree on the thing, then who am I to then be like, nope, I firmly disagree? Or
because we have allowed. So I'm going to say this: moderate Democrats. I'm gonna put this on now. I'm sorry, white people. I tend to blame a lot of stuff on y'all. So y'all excuse me. I put this on white people though, and because y'all have spent such a long time allowing crazy conversations at the dinner table with your uncles and aunties, and you haven't shamed them. The way that in a black family, if you come to a black dinner and you're spouting, no matter who you are, at this day and age, if you come spouting Trumpisms at a black dinner, then somebody's going to cuss you out. Y'all don't do that. And it's allowed for things like science to be questioned. Science is a liberal undertaking now, like facts, like 1 + 1 = 2 is a whole thought process of you're a crazy liberal, right? Math makes you a psychopath, right? Math makes you turns you into a democratic socialist communist, just math. And I blame white folks for it because y'all are obviously not yelling enough at your friends and family members who support this nonsense. I need my white squirrel gang to help me out. Members of the white squirrel gang, and we don't separate it because we're all one squirrel gang, but the people who just happen to be white folks in the squirrel gang, Do y'all cuss y'all Republican family members out? Do y'all shame them? Is this something that you do? Like when they say, well, mask doesn't do anything about the virus and it's taken away from my freedom. Do y'all say, that's dumb? Shut up, Phil. That's dumb. Shut up, Mom. You're stupid. Shut up, Uncle. That's crazy. Do y'all say that? I need to know. I need to know. Let me know in the comment section. I need to know if y'all are actively cussing, because Black people aren't there to cuss them out for you. When y'all leave us, we send you white folks into the world to make sure that your cousins and uncles have either a change of heart or just shut up. Right? We send y'all out there to fight for certain things. And if you're not actively doing it, then you need to step it up at the family dinners. You need to start getting canceled from saying the Thanksgiving prayer, Dear Father, thank you for this food we're about to receive. I'm a progressive, support reparations. Amen. That's your prayer.
How
That's your prayer at Thanksgiving right there.
How uncomfortable would the rest of Thanksgiving be? Everybody's just, it's like, okay, we're just not going to talk about that. We're just going to move past the prayer, act like that didn't happen.
What they're going to say is Larry Elder told me
I've got this real nice clip of the Candace Owens show. You might want to look at it. Very educational.
You know what I mean? Are y'all checking y'all people, man? For real.
But look, man, I think, and I think that this goes not just for white people, but for everybody, man. I think one thing that's drastically different, because I am trying to like piece it together of like, well, what's so different nowadays that we're getting this amount of like backlash? And I think it's two things. I think it's one, a legitimate gripe with government, meaning that government has done massively shady shit, over everybody's lifetime, at least, everybody's living right now, right? If you want to talk about, like things with Vietnam, or if you want to talk about weapons of mass destruction, or like there's just like these endless sort of like pillars of reasons to have, at the very minimum, skepticism of the government, right? So the government hasn't done theirself any sort of service from that endpoint. But then two, these things in our pockets, man, they're making us feel like we're geniuses. They're all giving us the Kanye effect, right? Where suddenly we all feel like we're geniuses about topics where we know not a goddamn thing, right? I'll be the first to admit I'm an idiot for a majority of things. I'm an idiot, and I speak from that standpoint, and so I'm able to submit to when I just don't know something, when I don't have as much knowledge as somebody who's either an expert or whatever the case is. But these cell phones in our pockets, they trick us into making us believe that, oh, well, because I read this on a blog, or because I saw this Twitter thread, suddenly I know everything that there is to know about any given topic. And the truth is, that's not true. It's not even remotely true, right?
I mean, Tunde, if you think about it, they look at, just think about what it looks like to be a Republican now. And no, not even a Republican, because there are Republicans who are like, we got to do something about COVID, and they believe, like, so I would be lying if I said that there's no Republicans that think that the way that we're treating COVID-19 is wrong. But to prove some of their unscientific points, you have to go through, like, think about it. Hey, you know what? COVID is real, and it spreads, and it's infectious. And if a Republican says no, it's not, think about the steps that person has to take to just find somebody to validate what the fuck he's saying, right? So you can't just go to Google, right? Like, you gotta, because once you Google it, like once you Google your point, then you gotta go, and all you're gonna see for the first 4 pages is, damn, COVID is real. Damn, COVID is real. CDC, Google, Oxford University, Harvard, Howard University, FAMU, all these freaking studies finally, let's see, what is the name of this? redisthebest.com. Okay, what does it say? COVID is not. See, I told you.
Yeah, I believe that the term for that is what? Confirmation bias is the term for this phenomenon in which you speak of.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, people are just wanting to believe whatever confirms their already their suspicions, right? So if they already believe a thing, it's just like, oh, I'm going to search until I find the article that confirms the thing, and then I'm just going to go super hard on that one article, and then whenever anybody else has a counter to what I'm saying, I'll just refer them back to this article. And the craziest thing is too, and I see this because I have a podcast where I talk about TV and film, is what's so crazy about it is usually the evidence that somebody points to is like 18 steps removed from whatever the origin of that, whether it's a statistic, that's one of the words I have problems saying, or some sort of quote or whatever the case is. It's usually like 18 other layers removed from that. So the article that they're reading is like so far from what the origin of that thing is. Like, again, you see it all the time in like the entertainment news, that like they'll quote somebody or they'll say something's like a rumor, and then you look for it and it's just like this bullshit ass like website that is known for spewing garbage that's not real, but people quote it as if it is, you know. And
that's right.
And I think, yeah, I feel like that's what people always do. If you're going to use your phone or the computer to, you know, act as if you're some sort of, you know, expert on the thing, then you have to do your research like some sort of person who actually does research, right? Looking for not what you want to be the truth, but what is the actual truth, you know? So if you're reading something and it's giving you a stat, well, you got to search for the origin of that stat, right? Like you can't
you don't have to study nothing. You just have to say it's right, and I'm white. It's right. I'm white, and it's a fact. Now, I'm going to run for Senate real quick and win because you dummies don't know how to. Bro, white privilege is a motherfucker, man. Let me tell you something. You can just say the dumbest shit in the world and end up being a congressperson or a senator. Literally, that is white supremacy right there. You could be dumb as all outdoors. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to Franco. Franco, that was a great idea. Let's put Franco's comment back up there real quick. Marcus Tunde. How about a COVID-19 scare straight program? Take anti-vax maskers into the hospital and have infected dying people trying to yell at them. This shit is real. Now give me them shoes. No, just open up the curtains. If it ain't real, come in here and give me a hug.
I'll do that over Zoom. How about that?
If it ain't real, just give me a hug. And shout out to Kim Carter, because she managed to, of course, put in her alma mater, the famed HBCU.
I got in trouble if I didn't put that on the screen.
Yeah, of course, you'd get in trouble if I didn't say something about Howard University, but I'll get in more trouble if I didn't say something about this right here. Florida A&M versus Jackson State was held this weekend. My school lost by 1 point. FAMU Rattlers lost to Jackson State. The Deion Sanders Jackson State Tigers 7-6 in the second.
I was going to say, before you get too far on that, and you was talking about elected officials.
You want to show
Governor Ron DeSantis.
I'm vaccinated. I'm offended that someone would make me show something just to go to a restaurant or just to live life. And there's a lot of people who've already recovered from COVID who do have immunity. You actually are saying me with a Johnson & Johnson shot can go in, but someone who's recovered from COVID and probably has stronger immunity, they can't go in? I'm sorry, that is anti-science. I also don't want two classes of citizens. You know, we have some people in our communities who just made the decision this is something that they're not going to do. So what, you're going to write them out of society? I don't want a biomedical security state in which you're constantly having to do this just to be able to live everyday life. At the end of the day, the vaccines have helped people ward off severe illness, and we obviously work very hard to distribute it. At the end of the day, though, it is it's about your health and whether you want that protection or not. It really doesn't impact me or anyone else, because we've seen the data on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 46th president of the United States, the 47th president of the United States of America. That's right. That's him right there. Ron DeSantis is the most ignorant. Listen, first, let me tell you why I said that real quick. See why? Because white supremacy allows white people to say whatever the hell that comes to their mind, and they get props for it. Yeah. Because no one does. Because white wives, I'll say this, because white wives don't be cussing them out. at home, and it's amazing. And I said it. Cause somebody, white wives, man. Like, let me tell you something, man. Listen. I'm at this point. I think I can start blaming some white women, not all of them, but some white women. And the reason why is because look, man. White women voted for Donald Trump, and black men got blamed for him. Listen, white women voted for Donald Trump, and black men got blamed for him winning the election. Nobody ever holds the white ladies accountable, man. And these guys have to just go home confident as hell that everything that they said is correct. Man, I have to blame somebody. Who is DeSantis' wife or like cousins or someone? Because you have to be damn near evil to think the way that this modern Republican Party thinks and then just manage to get reelected.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those who might be late to the game, so apparently Ron DeSantis, next to Trump, he's actually polling as good, if not better than Trump in some cases, as far as the 2024 election goes for president. So I'm sure he has very lofty political aspirations being president. I'm sure at the top of that list. But I wish we had that Russell Westbrook, when he's talking to the reporters, and then he just is like, "What the fuck did you say?"
That's right.
That's
meme
what we
is
needed for the Ron DeSantis.
Well, that's what I mean. Let me get you used to being on camera over here, Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. You just make your own memes. I've been memed 3 times here today. So you don't have to wait for somebody else to meme. You just make that motherfucking face, bruh. That's all you have to do. That's what, now, Dwayne, do I have permission to talk about my goddamn HBCU now? You're going to push me to talk about another white racist supremacist again?
Nah, go for it. All yours.
All right, this weekend, Florida A&M University played Jackson State University, coached by Deion Sanders himself, primetime himself, down at the Orange City, the Orange Blossom Classic in Miami, Florida, and Jackson State Tigers won 7-6 by 1 point. And it was an amazing game. First off, shout out to all the shout out to all the colleges now. And I'm just gonna say I like college sports now a lot more because name, image, and likeness. All college players finally can get paid off of their own name, image, and likeness. You can get paid as a college student off of that, and it makes me like that sport because now people who have been busting their butts for colleges can finally make some money, right? And do things like, hey, I'm going to buy groceries and not have to steal these crab legs from Publix. There, Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston.
If Jameis had the think about how much in sports has to change now because of the NIL. You got to go back. Think about it. They took away Michigan's Fab Five's national championship because Chris Webber took money from
that's wild.
You got to take that back right now. All those UNLV, when they lost their championship, they got to take that back right now. There's and think about it. Think about it. The big schools have been paying under the table, paying players for years, and they've been getting in trouble for it. The NCAA has been a racket up until this year. So shout out. But the problem is sometimes coverage of it is a little bit whack. And when you talk about an HBCU football team, you almost synonymously have to speak about their band. And FAMU and Jackson State University have 2 of the greatest bands that have ever performed on this earth. So you want to let me know why ESPN decided that they were going to cut off halftime coverage of the 2 best bands in America at an HBCU football game? It lets me know that ESPN has no idea of Black college culture whatsoever. And it's such a new idea to them that no one in that whole office said, wait a minute, we got to block out. We got to actually watch the whole game. We can't go to college highlights, other schools' highlights as much in the middle of an HBCU football game. Why? Because the bands are some of the most important things. There have been times at Florida A&M University games where I didn't show up until 2 minutes left into the second quarter. Why? So I can go and watch FAMU Marching 100 get on the field. And I might even leave after they've performed because that's the game. So ESPN, do better. That's all I'm going to say.
And to make it even worse, the announcers were talking about how good the bands were while the bands were playing, but they weren't letting the bands play.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, doesn't that dig into a bigger conversation about the newness? The newness, it's almost like digital gentrification would happen. The newness of black stuff to white people. I'm going to talk about that for a second. The newness of it. Because I'm pretty sure at some point this year, there will be a white person in sports who says, man, I discovered this thing called black college football.
You wouldn't believe. Oh my God! I mean, it's basically just football, but like with predominantly black teams. It's crazy. I don't. Historically, black colleges. I don't. Those were a thing. Who would have thought?
I discovered this thing called black college. I discovered this thing called black college football. And did you know at halftime, their bands, they don't just go down and play music. They make shapes and sing.
They dance. Oh my!
They dance.
Oh my! It's a new world.
And then there's gonna be a TikTok called the HBCU football game.
And then it's gonna be like some like young ass white person like fucking defining what it is to be like HBCU marching bands. They're gonna be like, you know, just trying to define what it is. It's like, Jesus Christ, all right.
Yeah, don't Columbus HBCU. Don't Columbus HBCU football games, please. Like we don't need that whatsoever.
It's probably already happened. But
hey, listen,
you know what this,
go ahead.
You know what this reminded me of real quick is one time when I saw Aqib Talib, I think it was Aqib Talib. He was commentating on he was like a commentator on a broadcast. I forget what football game it was. It was sometime last season. And I just remember there were all these articles that came out. I'm like, oh my God, this is like a watershed moment. This is unbelievable. You know, he brings a different type of energy. It's like, he's just a black dude talking about football on a live broadcast. I don't think this is exactly revolutionary, but they just had all these, the reaction to it was just so weird to me of just like, I think he's just a dude talking about football on a broadcast, which isn't the craziest thing in the world. Like, and he doesn't sound like, you know, every other robot that's on there. And they're like, this is the flavor we need. And so that's what this whole thing with the halftime show reminds me of is them not understanding like what an audience might want and just still working from some sort of archaic playbook that shouldn't even be played from. Like, they just start doing different things so people can actually fucking tune in. And I'm not saying that people don't already watch college football, but their halftime shows are dry as fuck. Nobody watches them. They just flip to the other station where there's a game going on.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Lou Kane for saying that white people act like black people just came out. Oh,
that's fucking hilarious.
Listen. I've given white people a hard enough time here today on Clickbaity Political ThirstTrap. I do want to tell you guys that I appreciate and love each and every one of you, white, black, green, yellow, red. You have been watching Clickbaity Political ThirstTrap. Please, please, please go like restorativeroots.net .life, restorativeroots.net.life if you want some stuff. Come back. We'll be back Thursday, I believe. A quick self-promotion when it comes down to Clickbaity Political ThirstTrap. You got to like and share this thing. Like and share. Get our likes up. Please get our likes up. I know we have started a new time, and some of y'all didn't see that until yesterday, because that's when I posted yesterday. But get our likes up real quick. We are at 98 likes. If I can get over to over 100 right now on this live, I'll be very, very happy. Share this post. Make sure that you rock with Tunde, Dwayne, myself, and Mondale Robinson. Tunde, you have anything for the family?
Not too much. I just want to know from the squad, how y'all feeling about the 3 p.m. start time? What do y'all think? Are y'all feeling it? Not feeling it?
Yeah, let's give them a chance. Let's give them a chance to answer, and then I'm gonna respond by saying we're gonna be at 3 p.m. no matter what.
Hey, and while we're giving them a chance to answer, since ESPN didn't want to show the band, we'll show them for a little bit.
That's right. Let's show the band.
Clips like this from people's cell phones since they didn't want to put it on TV.
PWI band right there whatsoever. Them boys were juking. That was the marching 100 Florida A&M that sits on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida, right off of Orange Avenue in the school that I attended. You guys like the time so far? Let's see what it says. We love you guys.
Yeah, they with it.
Y'all with the time? All right, well, we're gonna rock and roll with this time because 7 a.m. was a little bit too much for me.
Sure.
And with that being said, we'll see y'all later on. Catch y'all Thursday. Peace.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, Clickbaity Political, yeah. Thirst Trap Squad, Squirrel Squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege, take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, church trap. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, church trap. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.